A new drug to treat Alzheimer's has shown promising signs during early trials, with the medication looking like it could slow the progression of the disease. Only a small group of 54 patients with early-stage Alzheimer's have been given Trontinemab so far. However, 49 of them experienced significant results, dementia researchers were told. The drug was found to clear away plaque buildup in the brains of patients, which it suggested could delay the disease and the onset of symptoms. However, not all patients are eligible for Alzheimer's medication, including Paul Lindsay's father, Richard, who was diagnosed in 2022. And Paul joins us now. Good afternoon, Paul.
Good afternoon.
Could you tell us about your experience with your dad's diagnosis and how he and you live with Alzheimer's?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's Dad was a very fit individual during his life, and he ran the London Marathon at 3 hours 13 when he was just over 60. By the time he got to 70, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and has since deteriorated very quickly. Clearly, the amyloid proteins built up in his brain, and he's had no drugs to be able to clear this. So, obviously, we're absolutely delighted to hear about, on the back of lecanemab and donanemab, about the new drug and the effects it could, to help others. It's absolutely fantastic.
Before we talk about the drugs themselves, Paul, I wonder if you could just talk, because not everybody has experienced this, how that, let's call it decline in your father's health, has changed your family's life.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, there were subtle cognitive changes at first, regarding memory loss and a change in his language, and different behaviours and things that he did. He's always, lived a healthy lifestyle, eating well, not drinking too much alcohol, for instance, and all that type of thing. But as I say, there was them sort of changes. Then these developed into sort of more serious things. Real major sort of forgetfulness, if you like, and not being able to handle finances anymore, and not being able to complete, simple daily living tasks. And now currently just sits in a chair and just looks up at the telly, and the man's gone. I see my dad as a silhouette who's walked off into the distance. It's absolutely devastating for me and my family. Thank goodness for the Alzheimer's Society who've got behind us, signposted us to services and supported us during this really difficult time for our families. We can't thank them enough.
Well, by the way, just for those who themselves might be experiencing that moment when, as you say, the person departs you, though they're still there. How did you decide to get in touch with the Alzheimer's Society? What made you make that call?
So what happened is, going back about, obviously at that time, I think there was something like 94 scanners across the country that could detect or diagnose that someone has got dementia. So my dad waited 4 years, would you believe, 4 whole years of us wondering what the hell was going on. And so as soon as we got that diagnosis, we were able to contact the Alzheimer's Society, and they were able to support us by meeting my mother, who's become a carer instead of a wife, would you believe? And just this tragic, number of events that have happened over a number of years. It's incredible. I really would urge the government to get behind the Alzheimer's research and start to fund these drugs, because we really need to make dementia a thing of the past.
This new drug, the name of which I will not pronounce because I've probably got it completely wrong, do you think that it offers promise? I mean, I suppose the reason I'm really asking this, for those who have read about it, we don't know the details, and actually, as I said, it's a small sample. There's always a risk with these things, isn't there, that there will be some false hope?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had that before, as I say, with donanemab and lecanemab. The government have decided currently not to fund these because they're too costly and the effects aren't enough. But the emergence of trontinemab, easy for me to say, it means that, there's definitely more success and more better rates of success And, kind of what we're thinking as well is we don't just want someone to get a diagnosis, but I suppose a bit like somebody who's had a heart condition or somebody who's had a heart condition in the family, somebody would go to the doctors and diagnosed a statin. So what we're looking at is these drugs to come out and be available. So somebody like me that could be in a genetic line of sufferers of Alzheimer's, that I could look at that in the future. And as I say, we really want to help future generations to make dementia a thing of the past.
Paul, thank you so much for that. And if I may say, on your last answer, I think we often forget that the relatives or the children of those who have dementia or Alzheimer's disease live with, I guess, the possibility that it will strike them too. So one more element to this, which perhaps we don't always think about. That was Paul Lindsay, whose father Richard was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease in 2022.